Good morning, everybody. I am here with our awesome interim chief, Chief Chandler, this morning, and our equally awesome town manager, Marc Orlando. Good morning, guys. Y'all have seen our faces enough. We decided to add another face in it. So we have Dr. Frank Rodriguez. Best hire ever in our school district. Doctor, thank you for being here. We gave him a little 2-second warning about what we do. We're super uber casual. We welcome everyone who will watch it right now and also watch it later. We're getting a great viewing from our Facebook Live get-togethers every other Monday, and ask questions. This is the only time we take comments off of Facebook, and Lindsay gets them out to us to let us know what people are thinking. So if you have any questions, this is the only time you can do it. Comment it, and Lindsay will put it on our chat board, and we'll try to get to it. We had a lot going on. We had a lot of rain, and I think that helps everyone realize we do have storms around us. So I'll jump to Chief. I know we haven't had any real close calls, but we are at letter, L, and we would just now be getting to letter G and H in past storms. So we are active season, isn't it, Chief?
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, we got a little bit of weather this weekend. A lot of wind, a lot of trees and branches down. I think that storm's up near North Carolina now, so hopefully that's past us. But we've got another one south of the Caribbean. We got a couple more coming off of Africa. We're going into the busy time of the year. September is typically our busy time of the year for hurricanes, so it's not over yet, unfortunately.
No, and I think it's just, like all of us are prepared. I would suggest looking at what Louisiana went through and just their concerns that came to reality. No power, not a huge storm surge, but we just have to get ready to do something, to either stay put and stay safe or make accommodations elsewhere, but just prepare your house and your property.
I just don't want people to get a false sense of security since it's been so busy and we haven't really felt a lot of the effects yet. I don't want people to think that, hey, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. All these others have missed us. These are all going to miss us too. Right. Each one is new. Each one is different. So it just takes the one. So everyone be prepared.
And this is when I get my hat on because Hugo is so fresh in my mind. It was my first real hurricane in '89 and I lived on Hilton Head, and it's stressful. And I was also 8 months pregnant, and it's just a stressful time to get in that crowd of cars at the last minute. And Hugo was Labor Day weekend, and that is coming before us. So this is really my storm season. This is when I kind of stay alert. So trees are coming down. We're seeing some water oaks fall. Just be aware of limbs and all of that, right? You've seen them in the roadways.
Yes, ma'am. And it just in your own property itself, if you've got trees or shrubbery that you can trim, go ahead and trim it, clear your yards up. If you do see weather coming in, if you don't have to leave, just, stay home, take care of your family. It's not worth risking getting stuck out in a flooded road or having a tree fall on your car. That's
right. Well, congratulations. Send our best to Corporal Brown. She was first responder of the year. That's awesome. And I saw in the Bluffton today, our police department was best of Bluffton, and that shows in all the hard work your team is doing, and we can't thank you enough.
Some great men and women that work in this department. Appreciate it.
Oh my gosh, I know. And speaking of best of Bluffton, and we'll pull Mark in here too soon, but best of Bluffton, go River Ridge. Wow. I tell people today in my other world, there isn't a school in Bluffton I wouldn't send my children to today. Not every one of them. It's great in its own way, Dr. Rodriguez. Thank you for supporting our town, and I mean the county too, but we just love our town.
Thank you. It's, it's first of all, a pleasure to be with you today. And we're so proud of our schools and so proud of our teachers in our school system. We have really outstanding teachers, and they really care and love the kids they serve on a daily basis. And I'm just so thrilled to be a part of it and to have these amazing teachers and school leaders that help and support our community.
I know. Well, I want to give you kudos too, and Mark can chime in too. You reached out to us when you were right before you were hired, I think. You were kind of still figuring out if you wanted to be here. And it's just so refreshing for you to listen. to a town when we have no control over your budget. We just have
Yeah.
control over your students,
Yeah.
your parents. And it was just nice. Mark, didn't you think, just sitting with him and talking about Bluffton?
Yeah, it was very refreshing. I always remember that day. We had lunch. We talked about your vision and really your background and experiences. And right away, I knew you're going to be such a great add to Bluffton. So it's good to sit here on the call. I don't have much to say except congrats. We have a school, a town employee, and a town department as on the list of best in Bluffton. So pretty terrific, very terrific accomplishment. So congrats to everybody.
Yeah, I agree. Well, let's ask Dr. Rodriguez a couple of questions, and then Mark can chime in as well, and Chief, even on like SROs and things like that. Couple of things. Everyone seems to think the towns in our county have control over your budget, have control over our schools, and we love these schools in our town limits, and they all are, except Okatee, and Okatee is in Okatee. So we have all of our Bluffton schools in our town limits, which means we have our town SRO officers, and it's just, I think it makes everything streamlined. Couple of questions with school. I know that was a stressful decision, and again, you call us for our input, and I appreciate that.
Yeah.
A lot of working parents, and my heart goes out to them. I was a working parent, and I am not a teacher, so I'm glad my children are out of college. How about, kind of hit everything. I want you to talk about diversity training, but we can do separate on that. But school starts, working parents, what do you see? Speak a little bit to special needs. I mean, kind of the whole bucket.
Yeah, sure. So thank you, first of all, for the opportunity to be here and to share this information and be able to communicate through this venue. The decision to how we open schools has certainly been a very, very challenging one. There's a lot to take into account. It's complicated. And actually, to tell you the truth, it's a lot more complicated to open schools with a virtual format than it is to open with a face-to-face format. It's a lot more difficult. It's a lot more stressful on the school leadership to do that as well. But we've been looking at the metrics for quite some time. At the time, we had seen steadily increasing over 5 to 6 weeks the infection rates in the county, and we needed to get to a point where we could make a decision and focus on a format for opening so that our schools could operationalize their plan to get things going. We had a lot of things to consider, certainly the health and safety of our students, the health and safety of our employees, and the health and safety of our community too. You can see what happens in other school districts that did go ahead and open virtually, and they had, face-to-face, and they had many challenges that they incurred in that prospect because infection rates were high, and they continued, in a sense, to move forward with an opening when infection rates were high. So there was a lot really to consider. I know that. I know, and I do not take for granted that it is impactful and that it is a stressor certainly on the community as well. But COVID-19 has been a stressor on our community. And there's nothing normal about it. What I am proud of is the way our system is working hard to prepare for a strong virtual opening for our families and for our students. And our teachers are part of that. Our teachers are preparing. Look, schools are lonely places when children are not there and when our teachers are not there, and when we don't hear their voices in the building, and when we don't hear instruction taking place from our teachers. They are lonely places. Nobody likes it, okay? We want our children, and we want them back in our schools, and we want them there safely, right? And that's the bottom line. I mean, I can walk halls, and the silence is scary, right? I mean, there's something about that noise and that productive noise. That's what we live for and we strive for when we went into this field of education. And so our plan and our hope is to get back to that, to have that noise back in the building, to have our children there. And that's what we want. And so we've been working through that. We have a September 8th virtual only start. But as you know, and I know, we've been watching the metrics as well over the last couple of weeks, and we've seen beginning to see a decline in those metrics as well. And that is really a testament to the work our community is doing in terms of wearing masks, in terms of more social distancing, and we're starting to see, really some positive impacts of that the numbers are starting to go down. Even though we're still high, they are dropping, and hopefully will drop below that high level soon, maybe even this week. Additionally, a lot to consider. You mentioned special needs students. Tomorrow we have a board meeting, and we'll be talking about the work that we're going to do with some of our special needs students, and particularly our more students with some of our significant disabilities that we will be able to service in a better format if they were in the building. And so we'll be talking about that tomorrow at the board meeting. And I think, if they have an opportunity to tune into that, they'll be able to hear what that plan is going to look like in order to support our students with more significant disabilities. I think, as our schools, our teachers are in our buildings or virtual today for the first day of school. There's options there for them as we go through this first week of teacher preparation that we always have every year before the actual first day of school. Our actual first day is September 8th, and our teachers are getting training during the course of this week, and so that everybody will be ready to go on September 8th when we meet our students through virtual format for the first time this school year.
I had a question. Will the virtual format be a teacher in the classroom and being filmed that way, or will they be at home?
Yep, either or. We have those options are there, and so it can be from the classroom or it can be from home. I think you had another question, which was recommendations or support for working families. One of the things that our team here at the district office has done is they've been just sort of compiling a list of different community providers that are out there that are providing some support for families as well. As we, this is really a community support solution, really, right? And so there are service providers that are out there that are getting involved. There are even some churches that are providing support. And so what we've tried to do is just sort of gather and collect any of that information as to who is providing support and services. And when parents call and they have questions or anything like that, we sort of share that with them as to who's out there.
Can you get us that list?
Sure.
Anything you need relayed? We have Lindsay Hauseman in our staff that's really best at social media, but any of that, and I know we can put it out to even get local, to let the providers know to get on that list.
Sure.
I know that's tough. You have your special needs, you have students that need in faith. I would have to be in a classroom. I don't think I would do well on my own. Then you have working parents, and then you have parents that are quite happy and nervous about this. So I would think you have a 50-50 split. And that's why they paid you to come here, Dr. Rodriguez. I tell people that's why they elected me. That's why they pay you.
Yeah.
They are.
Yeah, there are no easy answers to this. There's no roadmap for this, right? And so we're trying to, like all of us, we're trying to step through it step by step and make decisions with the data we have at the time, and trying to think ahead and look forward to make sure that we're there to help and support our families as well and our students.
So graduation, you were at every one I was at in Bluffton. And I really hope those drive-through graduations can be part of graduation week. I thought they really got to show their personality. I had 3 children that graduated from Bluffton High. And I don't think any of the 3 were allowed to even paint the top of their hats. So it made me happy to see personality showed. And, why not? Why can't you paint the top of your hat, when you're graduating? But I loved it. But we talked about, we had a young group that all our students came back home over the summer from college, and really had a great group of students led by several that graduated from Bluffton and May River, wanting to do better, and I kind of gave them the phrase that Councilman Hamilton has always talked about: know better, do better. And that's where they took off, and they want to bring awareness to where we can do better in the school system, in the town, with police, with everything.
Yeah.
And one of the questions from one of the May River graduates asked about diversity training in the schools, and you had kind of tapped into that. And of course, COVID came, so you don't see your teachers. What are your thoughts? Tell me what you'd love to do in a perfect world and school starts and teachers in classrooms.
Yeah, sure. One of the things, we actually embarked on some of that work prior to COVID with our principals, and that was a cultural diversity training, right? To seek to really understand where our students are coming from when they come to the classroom and to the educational environment, and we all bring something with us when we come to that, right? And so to gain a deeper understanding as to what everyone is bringing, and then you begin to get a greater understanding and appreciation of others, and so through that, that's sort of the intent and the goal. And so it is something that we're going to be continuing, which is a cultural competence training, and keep moving our system forward so that it will go from training principals to then also training teachers to then also training all of our employees, right? And so we believe that's an important component. I actually met one of the students that you are referring to, and quite an impressive young lady, and has nice, tremendous goals that she's setting around things like this. And that is really such an important piece. So we are going to continue it, even if we offer it virtually, or we offer it face to face. But it is something that is important for us to continue to work on.
And she was one of our interns this summer, and I've got to get in touch with them. I'm sure they're all going back to school, but I was really taken aback. There was a virtual Zoom kind of meeting on Facebook from Know Better, Do Better. If you have time, I think they recorded it and put it live. It was just interesting listening to the students' perspective. And it's all races, it's all cultures, but just what they dealt with in high school. And I really think, seriously, we still are, how long is this going to last? And I do think it goes back to the teachers and how to react, how to handle, how to treat, how to include, but they need to be trained. So yeah, I think we haven't seen the last of that group, and they really are refreshing. So
yeah.
So special needs, we have a question. Mark, this might be for you too, because I get, when are schools and parks? So both of y'all can jump in. What are numbers? Is there a safe number before we start looking at parks, Mark, and before we go to that board meeting? Do you go to the board meeting to open schools, or do you just decide? What is that number you're looking for, if there is such a number?
Well, I'll jump in. There's no real specific number on my end. It's not like that we'll get down 40% of COVID cases reported and playgrounds will open. From my perspective, I look at it more globally. Our entire operation is in full swing. We have some folks at work, some folks at home working remotely. Everything is open and it's business as usual, even though this is not a usual time, with the exception of 2 playgrounds. It's a Dubose Park, which on any given day, I've got children, a 10-year-old and a 7-year-old, and I would drive by and there are 40 or 50 people at that park. And it's more about the size of that park, then, oh, I don't think that children should be on slides. Of course they should. It's just, there's so many different recommendations. I was reading this weekend, there's a recommendation that if you're going to a playground and somebody else is there, a different family, that they recommend that you not even go there. And I've read a lot of different instruction about that, cleaning playgrounds and whatnot. It's just right now, I think it's the most appropriate thing for the town. Dr. Rodriguez said himself, there's no playbook for this. I think what's appropriate for Bluffton right now are those small little playgrounds in confined spaces, closed for a little while longer. How long, I don't know yet. I don't know that we're going to get to a specific number. I think that I have to take a look globally. Of course, I always seek the advice and guidance of town council, and we'll go from there. But for now, and in the interim, those two playgrounds will remain closed.
And I wanted you to get that out to everyone so they can hear, and I know they'll still ask. If you two are both on the same path, safety of not only your staff and what they have to do, but of the whole community. And the paths are open, the open parks are open, I saw someone, I hope I'm not gonna get them in trouble, but there was somebody walking around the trail behind our town hall last weekend at the school. So there's a place for everyone to be able to go to get things. Dr. Rodriguez, do you have any kind of number in your head or action?
I think what we have been looking at is in terms of that percent positive, really wanting that percent positive to drop down, certainly below 10 is something we've been looking at. But it is also something that we stay in communication with DHEC and with the State Department of Education, and we will continue to do that as part of this process. And so that's essentially what we're looking at. Here's another really important piece, right? This weekend is Labor Day weekend, right? We saw after Memorial Day weekend, and then we saw after July 4th, right? And then we saw the impact of that, right? And I just would take this opportunity to ask everybody to enjoy themselves and to have fun during Labor Day weekend, but at the same time, to stay along the paths of wearing masks and socially distancing. I read something today where it said this morning, I don't even remember what I was reading, but I read it and it said, things spread in where you have large gatherings, right? Just as much as they can, in your own backyard, in barbecues or whatever, right? And so you just keep all of that in mind as we enjoy ourselves during this Labor Day weekend, but also try to continue along those paths of things that are actions that have been reducing those infection rate numbers. So,
well, it's all seeming to work. You're exactly right. I love some of the, of course, y'all know my favorite school, which the leader of that team says, we're all doing the right things. It is up to us to get back to normal. And yes, and there's a comment on masks. And again, it's 50-50 on the mask. We're doing whatever we can do to be considerate of others. And it is up to us. If we want to get back to school, make sure your children aren't gathering at a party. Make sure you aren't gathering it's not just the children, it's the adults. Wash your hands. How many times were we taught that? And, to the comment about the mask mandate, it seems to be working. It is not a political decision. I know it isn't personally for me and our council. I know it isn't for you. We're not hired by party or elected by party, but it is one little item in a massive list of others to try to figure out the playbook. So,
yeah.
So question, Dr. Rodriguez, and I really, I'm big on our students, as we all are. Before you know it, it's high school graduation again. And yep. I'm curious about this question, and maybe you can nip it or confirm it. We're pushing seniors to graduate in December if they meet the requirements, but their transcript will not be available till January. Is that normal? Is that common? Are you doing it? How can they get transcripts when they graduate?
Yep. So every year we have students that graduate early. That's they get themselves on that track and they make that choice to graduate a little bit early. But we're not going to push them to graduate early. Many of them may have the credits that they need to graduate when the semester ends, but that doesn't mean that they can't take other courses that we offer either during the second semester and stay enrolled through the end of the year. So we're not going to be pushing our students to graduate and leave us. Some of them may have the credits that they need to graduate early and may opt to do that. Others may have the credits that they need to graduate early and may stay and take additional credits with us. So I wouldn't say that it's about pushing them to graduate early.
If they graduate early, are they lined up with their counselors to get their transcript? Wouldn't they have their transcript at graduation?
So the graduation would be trying to think right now off the top of my head when that term ends. The term would end after January. It may end the end of January, beginning of February is when the term might end the semester.
Okay, so December is just a date.
December is typically when we normally graduate because when we normally end the first semester, because we normally have that in play where we first semester ends in December prior to the break. Kids take their exams for those courses, right? Their final exams for those courses, and then the next semester would start in January typically. But this year, because of the start date being pushed to September 8th, the semester ends after the December break, and the final exams would be after the December break this year. So it would be in late January or early February. This is sort of a unique year.
So if this person's asking that question for just this year only, hoping everything's back to normal, by the time they graduate and take their exams, the transcript follows just like if they were graduating in May or June.
That's right. That would be available after they've completed the coursework and the exams.
Gotcha. Okay. We'll wait for more questions. Mark, well, all of y'all, all three of you, Chief, Mark, and Dr. Rodriguez, benefit from the census. I think Bluffton is knocking it out of the ballpark with getting people going. Our chambers are helping. I know the school districts put something out. Maybe each of y'all, what is something that the numbers help us if we get the right count that's important? Maybe y'all pick one or two things.
Yeah, I'll jump in. Yeah, Mayor, for us, and I sent an email out about this recently, the biggest is, there's really two things. One, we want to know who we are, right? It has been a decade since Bluffton really took us a real inventory of who we are. Race, gender, age, income, education, all of those great things that you learn about in the census. So that's number one. All of that really is good baseline information for our 20-year plan, our comprehensive plan, which we're embarking on this year. So that's really from a research and data standpoint, but also, and probably most importantly, those numbers are used to calculate state transfers to communities throughout the country. So if we're not counted, if we're not standing up to count, and our population is 40% off, 30% off, 20% off, whatever the number is, we will not be maximizing the potential financial and economic benefit transferred in from the state. So just a very important number. It's utilized on state transfers, grant applications, and a whole bunch of different financial accounting issues.
Which one do y'all want to go next?
This is Frank. Same is true for us. Understanding, making sure that it's reflective of who we are as a school system is important, and there is certainly funding that also connects with in terms of programs and things like that that become available for the school system to provide for students. So it is important, it is valuable, and it is something that in spite of COVID, we have to make sure our community is well informed about so that they respond.
Right. And Chief, a couple of things that help your department by getting good numbers and filling in the census?
I think the biggest thing for us is projecting staffing and resources. How we staff our department with 5,000 citizens in Bluffton is different than how we would do it if we had 25,000. And it makes our job a lot easier going to my bosses, going, hey, we've got an extra 10,000 people in the town, we may need a few extra officers. Or from your standpoint, going, hey, the numbers aren't what we thought they were, maybe you don't need that. It's being financially prudent. You don't want to have a lot of extra resources out there if you don't need them, but if you do need them, we need to keep our citizens safe. So that's very important for us.
It's connected for us with national school lunch programs, children's health insurance programs, and supplemental nutritional assistance programs for students as well. So really important.
I'm glad you said that. I had not written that down. We had a church, Bible Missionary Baptist Church in Bluffton, and one of our council members, Bridget Frazier, really led the charge, and she was a teacher under you in the past.
Yeah.
To feed, we noticed there was a missing link, and it was Saturday lunches. And Chief, his off-duty officers, Marc's staff, I helped, a lot of council helped, and the community helped. Several churches came together. And if you think there isn't a need anywhere in this county, do something like that on a Saturday.
Oh.
Makes me sick we stopped it, but we have to move on. And I think now I kind of put myself in that group, are one of your community providers for tutoring and all. But
absolutely. And one of the things of note is that since March 15th or March 17th, we have provided over, I believe, 787,000 meals to children, whether they were our students or not, because we were allowed during that closure period to provide meals to anybody up to 18 years of age. And we provided over 787,000 meals. And so yeah, there is a huge need, no doubt.
Chief, we had a number, Joe might have known it. It was 20,000 plus meals on Saturdays in our school, and just our little cluster of what we targeted as at risk, or I'm not sure what the needed.
Mm-hmm. I don't know the exact number, but I know, starting out, people are a little hesitant.
Mm-hmm.
You got a bunch of cops out there delivering meals.
With lights and bells.
I tell you what, the guys that are out there doing it are amazing, and they were actually reaching out to the community. They were forming relationships with these folks, and the numbers of meals just kept growing and growing and growing every week. So it was a great thing.
And thank you for the outreach for your officers. People should know that more. But there's then we heard there was a need for electronic equipment, Dr. Rodriguez. So we had a local lady in town.
Yep.
That was her passion. And
yep.
She got Kindles. I don't even know how many Kindles. I think she was sending them all to all of us to accept them, and gave them out to those students, and went all the way across lines to Well Branch.
Absolutely. Not just here in Bluffton, but across the county. Her efforts and her passion carried all the way throughout our county, which is just really remarkable and awesome. There are a lot of great people in our community, and we're blessed to have them, and just find a way to continuously provide positive impacts on students. Can I just say one thing? These people often go unnoticed or unmentioned, but they play such a critical role. And Chief, that is your crossing guards, and the tremendous work that they do on a regular basis. But even during that shutdown, they participated and they helped us with the meal distributions as well, right? So they just stepped up to the plate and were really a critical part of that support. And so I just want to take a moment and shout out to our crossing guards, because oftentimes they are some of the first faces that our children see on their way to school, and they make a connection and a relationship with them. And that's what makes communities go. Everybody doing a little bit and taking their part and their role. And we really appreciate them so much. So I didn't want this opportunity to go without mentioning them.
Yes, Mark, keep our crossing guards and our SROs. Well, that's why we want our schools in our town. People think it's fluff to say, I want to be in the town limits. And it really isn't. I mean, we pushed for that annexation hard when it was requested because it put River Ridge in the town, has nothing to do with unincorporated, nothing. But Chief now has a consistent group of crossing guards and SROs, Mark,
yep,
staff. And you're right, it's community. It does mean something. Yep. Not that other places don't. I mean, it's the same in Beaufort. It's the same in other little towns, but this is
yep,
our town. So
yeah, they're highly valued, Mayor. Our crossing guards are great folks. Every time, if we ever have a staff luncheon, they're always there as part of our team. So they do a great job. And Dr. Rodriguez, thank you for reminding all of us to value them, as well as the SROs. So great job.
Yeah.
Are the SROs in the school right now in Bluffton?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Well, Doctor, you can get it to the principals. I mean, I think I can speak for all the towns, and I think Chief can speak for all the chiefs, and Mark can speak for all the town managers. If you need some fun, something to shake things up, I mean, government, the CAPE program, we're happy. Well, I'm speaking on behalf of these two now, but I know I speak on behalf of them. Happy to contribute. If it's seeing them on Zoom or coming into the classroom with a teacher, we want to make this, we just want to make it a special year. High school is very important, but so is getting kids back in school. I
yep,
have a daughter that works with MUSC, and the numbers of kids right now in the ICU unit, not due to illness. It's just kids at home and they need to get back in. There's a lot of reasons schools are schools, and
yep,
we need to get these kids back in. It's a third of their day. They're fed, they're taught, and they have another outlet, as well as our other kids who need to go into college and need to go to the workforce and need to get in those CAPE programs with that, things like that. Maybe finally, I'm just kind of curious, how do you do welding and how do you do the CAPE programs virtually?
Yep. So, well, first of all, let me just say, I agree with you. I'm anxious to get them back in our buildings. As I mentioned, schools are lonely places without them. And just to mention, I have two of my own children in our school system, right? And I want them back in school, and believe me, I do. And not because of their great, beautiful, wonderful kids. It's just that they need to be there and they need to be with their friends. And that's not lost on me at all, CAPE programs, so some are more difficult than others to do virtually. We do have some programs that we have access to that will allow us to provide some of those CAPE opportunities through a virtual experience. It's not necessarily exactly the same, but it is possible to do. And then I think the other piece is some of them just require some of the hours or components that really need to eventually get that experience. So we have theory, that we do first, and then we have computer simulations that we do to support those CAPE initiatives.
Somebody just said the welding class is awesome, made me want to go back to high school. It made me want to go back to high school too.
Yeah.
I've met those kids. Mark, maybe, and Dr. Rodriguez too, the Don Ryan Center, very important part of our town. We're very connected to the students. We've done a lot of Shark Tanks. We've worked with your engineering department. This could be a time, all the students can always be members for free. Now we're offering free memberships to adults. So I'm going to ask all of you to join. It's great to see what's going on. Just by joining, you're connected via email on all the virtual discussions. could fit somehow into the CATE program somewhere. Mark, you want to end on that, and anyone else on Don Ryan?
Yes, Mayor, it's really important. And this weekend I realized, and I'm sure everybody does, we have been working under these conditions since March, which means it's more or less half a year. So half of a calendar year we're working. A few months ago, Town Council passed what I call the Small Business Resiliency Plan, and really handed it off to the Don Ryan Center to be that champion and quarterback, so to speak, on a support system and a network for small businesses. As part of that, the Don Ryan Center waived its fees for an indefinite period of time for membership. And with that membership, it puts you into a large network and ultimately a community of like-minded folks. It's business-oriented entrepreneurs, technology-based, but also just a Bluffton business community. So what we've been doing is helping several businesses. We have a pretty strong mentor program. We have an amazing team led by Mike Levine, and of course, David Nellums is there, and Jessica is there, the entire board. So if you can sign up, please join. Not just the information that we email to you, but the folks that are now at your fingertips that could perhaps just simply help you and steer you in the right direction, answer a quick question, or even sit down and really talk to you about strategy and recovery is so important. So thanks for reminding us about that, Mayor. It's definitely a high priority of the Don Ryan Centers, but it's something I'm really proud of as we put into place throughout this pandemic.
And that just hit me, it might be us to reach out to the CATE director on how can we help the school with some of these issues on virtual. I mean, take help from everybody. We sure need it. So
who should our CATE director connect with?
Mike Levine, Levine, MLEVINE at townofbluffton.com. I'd give you his phone number, but I don't have it on my fingertips.
I'll
get it
to you.
We'll get it.
Yeah, we'll get it.
Perfect.
And let us know and make sure everybody's connecting, because we have had a hotel come to us. They want to see how can they expand. I had someone the other day ask me for a rental. They might want to open a business. I'm like, oh my God, take advantage of this free mentorship to get you on. We have the EDC, the Economic Development Corporation, is housed in the Don Ryan Center now. I just think it's wide open. Take advantage of it and go from there. Lindsay already is on it. She sent Candace information. Yeah.
Thank you, Lindsay.
Thank you.
Anything else, guys? We have a lot of people watching. Usually it's 10 to 20 times more that end up watching. Anything? Please stay on. This is the way to stay in touch. You can get on every Zoom committee, commission, board meeting, and you don't have to drive. Anything?
The only thing I'll add is maybe just kind of circle back on something. It is hurricane season, and thinking of a hurricane during a pandemic is insurmountable to so many folks. I would just suggest and strongly recommend that you have a personal plan, a family plan, a business plan, that you just have those plans in place. The storms are ever changing. The one thing that I think we struggle with, folks trying to put a personal plan together, and they really don't always know where the shelters are. So, Chief, I know that you and I had some offline conversation of, as to our best ability, identify where the shelters are so folks can put those personal plans in place. But Mayor, that's just my parting advice for folks, but also a very special thank you to Dr. Rodriguez and Chief Chandler and to you, Mayor, and to Town Council.
Well, the bright light, which there always is in every single hurdle, I've always tried to look for the bright light, is Dr. Rodriguez. So I'm going to throw it out there. Stop me if I'm going off path. we did get the ability from the state to do virtual learning during this. Does that follow through with hurricane evacuation? Do we have to make up missed school days if there's a hurricane?
Well, you know, that's part that I don't have that answer. I'll have to find out from them and see if that'll be part of the solution. I mean, it is as long as, you know, we have power and we have internet access, right? We'd have the opportunity to continue and deliver instruction. But I think there is some clarification that I need on that to finalize.
But there is a light. You were able to get this school district in that queue. I remember you telling me with virtual type learning when we weren't in the past. So
yeah, we have been approved as one of the South Carolina virtual programs, and so that does help because we can deliver instruction, particularly when you're dealing with the high school. When you're looking at seat time and you're looking at the credits that are all necessary for graduation and the number of days, all of that has to play in together. And so I'll be glad to follow that up with Molly Spearman, our state superintendent, and see what that response is. But I think that is one of the advantages. So I'll follow up.
Well, we try to make it 30 minutes, but you had such great information. I think we've hit questions. I'm just re-looking. Did y'all see anything I missed? Send them to us still. You can message us. Lindsay will get an answer, or if you'd like to put it publicly, fine. Just continue to be kind. There are many people that don't want to be kind in this time. And I mean, it's so easier to smile than to frown. I think that's what I've always heard. So y'all take care. Dr. Rodriguez, you have our support always. Chief, you know you have our support, and Mark, you do too. And anything else? If not, we'll say goodbye. Everybody good?
Thank you for the opportunity.
Anytime you want to come back, and we'll find someone else for 2 weeks, and we're going to keep this going. I think it's very helpful for our residents. So,
right.
Y'all have a great Monday.
You too.